She had dreamed of being a model since she was a child. Every time she saw models on magazine covers, she imagined herself in their place. She practiced walking like them, posing in front of mirrors, and learning every detail of the industry. Her name was Maya, a young black woman with deep brown skin, high cheekbones, and a striking presence. She knew she had what it took. She had studied fashion, followed the trends, and built a strong portfolio with the help of local photographers. But the modeling world wasn't easy to break into. She had faced rejection before, but that didn't stop her. This time, she was aiming high. One of the biggest agencies in the city was holding an open casting call. It was her chance to finally step into the world she had always dreamed of. On the day of the audition, she stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her outfit. She had chosen a sleek, form-fitting dress and simple heels. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that she belonged in this world. With her head held high and her heart pounding, she grabbed her portfolio and walked out the door, ready to take her shot. Maya arrived at the agency's building, a towering glass structure that looked as glamorous as the world she wanted to be part of. She walked through the doors, clutching her portfolio tightly. Other models were waiting, some chatting, others checking their reflections in their phones. Her name was finally called. She stepped forward, her heels clicking against the polished floor. A panel of recruiters sat behind a long table, flipping through headshots and resumes. She handed them her portfolio, trying to keep her hands steady. One of the women, dressed in a sleek black suit, barely glanced at Maya before passing the folder to the others. Another recruiter, a man with silver hair, scanned her photos with a neutral expression. "Walk for us," he said. Maya straightened her posture and walked with confidence, just as she had practiced for years. She finished her walk and turned to face them, waiting. There was a long silence. Then the woman in the black suit spoke. "Thank you for coming, but we don't think you're the right fit." Maya blinked. "Can you tell me why?" The woman hesitated before responding. "We're looking for a different look right now." Maya's chest tightened. She glanced at the other models in the room. Most of them were lighter-skinned, with Eurocentric features. She understood what they meant. "Maybe try a smaller agency," the man added, already looking at the next application. Maya felt her throat close up, but she refused to let them see her pain. She nodded, took back her portfolio, and walked out of the room. As soon as she stepped outside, the cold air hit her face. She had prepared for rejection, but this felt different. It wasn't about her skills, her walk, or her talent. It was something she couldn't change. She sank onto a bench, staring at the ground. Was this industry even meant for her? Had she been foolish to believe she had a chance? Her phone buzzed with a message from her best friend. How did it go? Maya stared at the screen for a moment before turning it off. She wasn't ready to answer. Maya stayed in her room for days. She barely touched her meals, barely spoke to anyone. The rejection replayed in her mind over and over again. "We're looking for a different look." She couldn't stop thinking about those words. She had worked so hard, built the perfect portfolio, practiced for years, yet none of that had mattered. It felt like the decision had been made before she even walked into the room. Her best friend, Lisa, called every day, but Maya ignored most of the calls. Eventually, Lisa showed up at her apartment, knocking on the door until Maya had no choice but to let her in. Lisa took one look at her and sighed. "Girl, you've been hiding in here for too long." Maya sat on the couch, staring at the floor. "I don't know if I should keep doing this." Lisa frowned. "What are you talking about?" Maya exhaled. "They didn't reject me because I wasn't good enough. They just didn't want someone who looks like me. How am I supposed to change that?" Lisa sat beside her. You don't change anything about yourself. You find another way." Maya shook her head. "What if there is no other way?" Lisa pulled out her phone. "That agency isn't the only one. There are plenty of people who love your look. You just have to find them." She started scrolling through an event page. "Look at this, a fashion show for up-and-coming models. They're looking for diversity. This could be your chance." Maya hesitated. "What if I get rejected again?" Lisa gave her a look. "And what if you don't?" Maya stared at the screen. The event was only a week away. If she wanted to do this, she had to pick herself up now. She took a deep breath. Maybe Lisa was right. Maybe she had been giving too much power to one agency. For the first time in days, she felt a tiny spark of hope. Maya spent the next few days preparing. She dusted off her portfolio, practiced her walk in front of the mirror, and watched fashion show videos for inspiration. The rejection still sat in the back of her mind, but she refused to let it define her. On the day of the fashion show audition, she arrived early. The venue wasn't a high-rise agency but a converted warehouse with a small stage and bright lights. The atmosphere felt different, less polished but more welcoming. Models of all backgrounds were chatting, stretching, and fixing their outfits. When it was her turn, she stepped forward, heart pounding. A woman with a vibrant afro and oversized glasses, who appeared to be the show's organizer, looked up from her clipboard. "Let's see what you got." Maya took a deep breath with confidence, her posture strong, her steps precise. This time, she wasn't walking for approval, she was walking for herself. When she finished, the organizer nodded. "Nice, you've got a great presence. We'd love to have you in the show." Maya blinked. "Wait, really?" The woman chuckled. "Yes, really. We need fresh faces, and you've got something special." Maya barely processed the words before she found herself grinning. For the first time, someone saw her for who she was, not as someone who didn't fit, but as someone worth noticing. The fashion show came faster than she expected. She stood backstage, surrounded by designers adjusting final touches on outfits, models fixing their hair, and photographers getting into position. She was nervous, but this time, it was excitement, not fear. Finally, it was her turn. She stepped onto the runway, feeling the heat of the lights. The music pulsed through her as she moved, each step landing with confidence. The audience watched, cameras flashing. When she reached the end of the runway, she caught a glimpse of a photographer in the front row, camera locked onto her. She didn't know it yet, but that moment, her poised stance, her fierce gaze, was about to change everything. The next day, she woke up to dozens of notifications. Someone had posted a picture of her walk, and it had gone viral. People were commenting on her presence, her confidence, her look. Some even called her the next big thing. Maya stared at her screen, heart racing. For the first time, she realized she didn't need that agency. The world was starting to see her just as she was. Maya's phone didn't stop buzzing. Notifications flooded in, comments, messages, reposts. People loved her look, her confidence, her energy on the runway. At first, she thought it was just a temporary wave of attention. But then, things started happening fast. A well-known fashion blogger shared her runway picture, calling her the face of the future. Designers began reaching out, asking if she was available for photo shoots. A popular beauty brand sent her a message, wanting her for a campaign. Maya sat in her small apartment, staring at her phone in disbelief. Just weeks ago, she had felt invisible. Now people were chasing her. Lisa called, practically screaming through the phone. "Girl, do you see what's happening? You're blowing up." Maya laughed, shaking her head. "I can't believe this." Lisa's voice softened. "Believe it, this is just the beginning." Her first big gig came from an independent magazine. They wanted her for a cover shoot. When she arrived at the studio, she expected to feel nervous, but instead, she felt at home. The photographer adjusted the lights. "All right, Maya, give me confidence." She posed effortlessly, letting go of the doubts that had once held her back. After that shoot, the offers kept coming. She modeled for edgy streetwear brands, walked in high-energy runway shows, and even did an ad for a luxury fashion house. Maya felt herself growing, not just as a model, but as a person. She no longer worried about fitting into a mold. She embraced everything about herself: her deep brown skin, her strong features, her bold presence. She saw comments from young black girls saying they finally saw someone who looked like them in fashion. That meant more than anything. Her confidence soared. She no longer wondered if she belonged in this world. She knew she did. Then one day, an unexpected email arrived. A major modeling agency, the same one that had rejected her, wanted to meet with her. Maya stared at the screen. Not long ago she had walked into their office, hopeful and eager only to be dismissed. Now, they were reaching out to her. Lisa grinned when Maya told her. "Oh, this is about to be good." Maya smiled, but she already knew. This time, she held the power. Maya walked into the same agency that had once turned her away. But this time, everything was different. The receptionist greeted her with a warm smile. "They've been expecting you." She was led into a sleek conference room, where the same recruiters who had dismissed her before were now waiting. They looked at her differently. There was no indifference, no hesitation. They knew exactly who she was. The woman in the black suit, the one who had told her she wasn't the right fit, cleared her throat. "Maya, we've been following your work. You've made quite an impact in the industry." Maya nodded, staying silent. She wanted to hear what they had to say. The silver-haired man spoke next. "We believe you would be a great addition to our agency. We'd love to offer you a contract." Maya looked at the document in front of her. A few months ago, she would have done anything for this opportunity. But now, she felt no excitement, no rush to say yes. She met their eyes. "I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to decline." The room went silent. The woman's expression barely changed, but the silver-haired man shifted in his seat. "May I ask why?" Maya smiled, calm and confident. "When I first came here, I was ready to prove myself. I thought I needed your approval to succeed, but I've already built a career without it. I've worked with brands that see my value from the start. That's the kind of industry I want to be part of." She saw the hint of regret in their faces. They had overlooked her. And now, they had lost her. She stood up and shook their hands politely before walking out. As she stepped outside, the sun hit her face, warm and bright. She felt lighter, freer. Her phone buzzed. Another invitation to walk in a major fashion show. Another message from a designer wanting her in their next campaign. She had outgrown the need for validation. She was creating her own path. As she walked down the busy city street, heads turned. People recognized her, not as someone who had been rejected, but as a star.